in ritual or in any type of magical working or even in everyday life, a wand is really just an extension of yourself. I remember watching a documentary where a person kind of pointed out, like, you know, maybe a bad analogy, but this is like me showing the world that this is my finger, I guess. This is like your pointer. I mean, if you think about it, like a teacher in school that would be using a pointer on the board, you know, it's a way of projecting what you're meaning, projecting what energy you are trying to put out there. Wands can basically be made out of any material. I mean, you know, you could have like oak, you could have sweet cherry wood, you could have crystal, and Necronomicon-wise, this is a lapis lazuli wand. They could be in any shape, size, or color. You know, I know one of my friends has what he uses is I think it's like a metal bar or a metal pole. Really, whatever feels comfortable to you. So wands are used in projecting energy, much like the alchemy that I've talked about in a previous video. Wands are used to project energy for specific purposes. A lot of people use wands for casting circles on the floor, or consecrating a protective barrier, or drawing up wards on their front door. One of the practices that I do is I draw a pentacle on the doors at night as a way of setting up protection in my house. When you're using a wand, just like I talked about in my previous video on sigils, you really feel the energy and your intent going from your head, down your arm, and through the wand. Now, stereotypically, there's a lot of different things that go along with wands. You know, some people like to say that it has to be from the tip of your middle finger down to your elbow in length. I really just say go with whatever's comfortable for you. That's why I have no problem with people just even taking a metal pole and using it as a wand. You want to have something that is conductive. So I wouldn't take a piece of brick, you know, or plastic. Shy away from plastic because that's not conductive for energy. That halts energy. Crystals are, you know, very conductive. They're very receptive, and crystals have their own properties. Like lapis lazuli, for example, has still a lot to do with like the mind learning and really reaching a higher plane. Oak wood, for example, has to do with focusing on the task at hand and being really driven. The cherry wood is kind of associated with the phoenix and can be very, you know, transformative and kind of roll with the punches kind of in energy. So whatever spell you're working with, or even whatever feelings you're vibing lately, it's good to have more than one wand around because you can really focus your efforts by the wand that you use. In ritual or in everyday life, you know, you can use them for a variety of purposes. Even to just, you could even just draw things in the air. If you want to invoke a spirit, you could just draw the spirit's sigil in the air. You could, you know, use it if you wanted to do like I've never done one of these, like a weather spell. If you wanted to invoke more rain, you know, point it up at the sky and push your intent that way. Wands are a very, very useful and versatile tool that I think anyone that practices magic or occultism should definitely look into. When I was starting my experience with the occult, I went to a magic shop that was in the next town over, and when I grabbed my first wand, which I actually don't have out here, it's buried in there, in my bag, I literally felt the spark when I picked it up. Now, you know, when, like, if you rub your foot on the carpet and then you touch a piece of metal and you get that spark, I mean, it was kind of like that, but it was also a very positive vibe. It was almost like this one was meant for me. And there were two of them that were exactly the same. One of them gave me that vibe, the other one didn't, and I picked the one that gave me the vibe, and I used that one for years before I kind of felt the itch of like growing and moving on. Anytime you have a tool, you know, you grow and you branch out and you get other ones that might feel good to you. I mean, this one was actually made during a blood moon eclipse, and I got it up in Salem, which is fantastic. I really love the energy of that one. It's very direct. It's very, you know, it stands on its own. Just go to different shops, search online, see a design that works for you, and a metal or a wood that kind of corresponds with what your intention is. They even have some people that are custom wand makers. There's a guy that I met at a fair that actually does he makes custom wands in his spare time, and he actually sells them to different stores that you could find online, and he could actually make a custom one for me if I ever wanted to order it, and it's only about like $40. You can find these wands for very cheap. I mean, some of them are cheap, other ones are not. My collectible one here, by the way, it's very small, but it was a special 2004 Christmas edition that I got, I think, back in like 2010, and because it was a collector's edition, it was very expensive. I want to say it was like 45 bucks. You might think that this is kind of useless, but very clandestine, could fit in your pocket if you wanted to, you know, be on the go, or if you were going to do a ritual outside or some kind of magic happening outside. Like if you're going to a park, you don't want to bring your entire witch bag with you, or you don't want to bring a giant wand with you or a giant staff. This is very clandestine. Stick it in your pocket, and you can use it in rituals out in the open, you know? So those are my thoughts on wands and their uses in magic. I know that I went through this kind of quick, and wands have many, many, many other uses that I couldn't think of at the moment, or, you know, that I just didn't list, or maybe I haven't experienced yet. So if you don't have one, go for it and find one that speaks to you. Remember, the wand chooses the wizard, right? Good hunting.